And welcome to episode 38 of the Odyssey Hour. We are your hosts, the Odyssey Paranormal Society team. Myself, Lauren, Scott, and Sam. And yeah, so we got another great episode for you. Haley unfortunately could not be here with us due to family gatherings or whatever you want to phrase it, but she'll be back next week. She better, because we're going to have a great guest. Mr. Ken Boggle will be coming on for the entire show, not just interrupting, halfway through and then and then staying for 10 minutes and then leaving. So he will be on for the entire show, and I'm going to see if I can convince him to do like some one card readings for people, or even for us, because we got to throw ourselves in there. We're the hosts.
Yeah,
we should get a little important. Yeah, we should get a little something,
Yeah,
so
that'd be fun.
Absolutely.
And then he'll send me an invoice after we're done. So, which is fine. So I just want to make sure I said that now before the end of the show, because chances are I'll forget. And so join us next week where Mr. Ken Bogger will be joining us. But Mr. Samuel Albus is back after after a 3-week stint of vacationing and salmonella poisoning.
Yep. Got salmonella, went on vacation. This is things that happen, I guess. Got called by the Department of Health to get investigated as to why I got salmonella. And
did they ever find out why or what you got it from?
I only got interviewed like last week, so I don't know if they're going to follow. They told me they would update me if they found like a connection or like linked it to an outbreak, but I don't know. They basically just asked me like where I went, what I ate in like detail. So yeah. But yeah, now I'm back, feeling good, feeling normal. Happy to be back on the show.
You even got a workout in before the show.
Yeah, I got a workout in. I'm trying to get a regular workout schedule, which is nice. Yeah. And I start school on Monday.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is.
You nervous?
No, I'm kind of just excited, to be honest.
Nice.
I've done it before. This is round 2.
Well, that's true.
This is the second try. I know what college is about.
But you're so much older now, Sam.
I am. I'm like either going to be 4 years older than the people in the class or younger, because I think a lot of people go back to school at that university. So we'll see.
That is true. Yes. Well, obviously, wish you the best of luck in your first couple of days. We'll get an update from you next week on how your first couple of days went. So, getting into the paranormal and our topics and questions, Sam, since you've been absent for so long, we're going to make you go first.
Sounds good. I'm ready for it. So I was thinking today about asking you guys about animal spirits, specifically about, maybe, pets dying and stuff like that. So basically my question is, do you believe or think that animals turn into spirits when they die or can manifest as spirits when they die? And where do you think the line is drawn? Do you think every animal is capable of turning into a spirit, or do you think there's an intelligence cutoff?
You must be this smart to to turn into a spirit.
You must be this smart. Yeah.
Your brain must be this big in order for you to have a soul. Okay.
Yep.
Fair enough. Somebody else that's not me want to go? Scott, I think you would probably have the most to say on this, especially researching Native American type beliefs and whatnot.
Well, more of the shamanic than just Native American, but yeah, I think that animals do have can come back as spirits. They're kind of, I think, at least two ways of thinking about that. Some people say that there's that each animal has its own spirit. Others say that there's a collective spirit for that type of animal, like all cats would have one spirit, dogs would have one spirit. No, that covers all of them. But I didn't used to believe in animal spirits until a cat that my friend and I shared died, and that it came back more than once. I would feel it. I would feel it rubbing up against my legs, afterward, and jumping up on my bed, and knowing that cat, I was convinced that animals have spirits. So, and I've seen that cat too. But that's my answer. Yes, I believe that the animals have spirits and that they can come back. Yeah. So
it's interesting too, because I think I had an experience at your house. Like, I think we were in the kitchen, and I can't remember the occasion. Maybe we were doing evidence review at your house or something like that. But I've lived around cats most of my life, and I was walking through the kitchen, and I felt like there was a cat at my feet. So I looked down. I was about to say, "Oh, there's a cat," and nothing was there. And I told you, like, I swear to God, there was a cat at my feet. And then you told me about the cat that you had that passed away, and that you've had experiences with, seeing it and things like that. So that was really cool for me as well.
I think you were probably talking about the Ashmore when we all went over with Jeff.
Yeah.
To his place.
Was probably then. Yeah.
Go ahead, Lauren.
Yeah, I'm just trying to formulate an answer because I didn't grow up with pets. My mom was allergic to anything with fur. So the most we had was a fish, which I now have a fish still, but not like a cat or a dog or anything like that. Which I love dogs. Don't get me wrong. I'm going to get a dog someday. An English bulldog to be precise. But I've thought about this. But yeah, I believe that animals have spirits just because just having interacted with a bunch of my friends' pets and stuff like that, they have personalities of their own. So it would only make sense that they have spirit. In my mind, that's how I kind of equated it, and that's just makes sense to me. I do believe that animals can come back because I know a lot of them have very strong attachments to people. So it would make sense, again, in my mind, that they would come back to visit who they loved. I guess in my mind, it's hard for me to figure out where it's residual and intelligent because animals, a lot of them are creatures of habit, kind of like humans. And if they do something enough, that could probably leave an energy imprint. So it's hard to know when it's actually the intelligent spirit of your past pet or animal, whatever you have, or if it's just the residual energy of what they left there. I guess that's what kind of makes me curious about animal spirits. I have not done nearly as much research as Scott has done, so he knows a lot more about this than I do, but that would be that's my 2 cents on the matter.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I guess the whole question is, what it boils down to is, do animals have souls? If animals have souls, then they can become spirits, since that's what, I mean, in my mind, that's what a spirit is anyway. It's just I guess I don't want to say the physical, but like the appearance or the energy formation of your soul. And Sky, you'll have to correct me if maybe it's the same thing, but it's Buddha, isn't it? Where human souls and whatever, they can come back as insects, they can come back as dogs, they can come back as deer. Is that Hindi or is that Buddha? Or are they the same thing?
It's probably more Hindu.
That's Hindu. Okay. I knew it was one of the two. I could not remember. Yeah. But I mean, their beliefs say that, animals could have been easily, human souls in past lives. And now
you're talking about reincarnation.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. You're reincarnated as, as an animal this time.
Mm-hmm.
But that's actually called transmigration.
Fine.
It's a form of reincarnation, but it's relatively few people who believe in it.
Mm.
I see. Well, it doesn't take 1 million people to believe in something to have it be true. Yeah. So, but either way, let's just say for the sake of argument that is possible. That a soul is the way it is, and it can be in any form. It can go into any body, any species. Where, I mean, if you ask Cena, half the people on the planet are aliens from another planet.
Or
or mermaids,
or witches, or mermaids, something not human in general. So I mean, for that to be the case, absolutely. Lauren, I think you had a phenomenal point, and that was one I was going to make as well, is the difference between intelligent and residual.
Mm-hmm.
Especially like the jumping on the bed. They all do that. All of them, like every day, jump on the bed. So I am not surprised at all. I know that there have been a lot of people, Dave as well, obviously Sam, that they feel the cat, going in and out of the legs. The whole figure 8 thing. I have never experienced that. Probably because even in spirit forms, cats suck. But that maybe they can sense that. I don't know. But I'd punt a spirit cat too if I could. So I'm just kidding. I would never punt a cat. But
see, I'd punt a tiny dog. I'm not even joking. So
if you're talking about a Chihuahua, yeah, because that's not a dog. That's just a big rat. So, but anyway,
I'm obviously joking.
Right. I mean, like I was just going to say, let's get off of animal cruelty for just a second here, and get back to the question at hand. But yeah, I definitely think animals can become spirits, or if a soul can be human, it can be whatever. Does it just take that form because that's what people will recognize?
Mm-hmm.
Because if let's just take me for instance, if I have had 10 different reincarnations, then when I become a soul or whatever, I'm probably not going to choose one of those to look like to come back and haunt the shit out of you guys. I'd probably slim this figure down a little bit and then come back. So maybe put some more hair on the head. But yeah, so I definitely think that I definitely think that. So I think Pamela had this question.
I was gonna bring this up.
Right. Yeah, I was just going to say that. Did I just answer that question? Because I was just talking about spirits of people coming back as animals. The other question is, and obviously nobody's going to know this until they actually pass away, but can we choose how we want to be seen by people?
Yeah.
Just in general. I mean, we don't have to be a deer to maybe appear as a deer. For people, I think it might even be possible to just show up in whatever form we think the people we are trying to visit will take comfort in.
Yeah.
So I mean, if it's a loved dog, if it's a loved cat, if it's a deer, if it's how we look like, in general, I think that's possible. I mean, it's just rearranging your energy. But I think that's probably, we've talked about this before, something that has to be learned. Like, I don't think I can just pass away and be like, I'm going to come back as Brad Pitt and I'm going to go, haunt some Hollywood people. Like, I don't think I would know how to do that. Although that would be pretty sweet if we did. So yeah, that's my answer. I definitely think that, yeah, animals can, I even think that animals can become guides, like spirit guides. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think animals are very, very important when it comes to like their souls and their energy and their spirits. So good question, Sam. You had a lot. You had 3 weeks to think of it, and you started today. I like that.
Yep. Yep. 3 weeks to come up with one good question.
Who wants to go next?
I could go next.
Have at it.
So I know we've briefly talked about this probably in past shows, but I want to focus on mirrors as portals, because I know we've heard a lot about it. A lot of the TV shows are like, oh my gosh, this mirror is a portal or something like that. And I guess I'm still trying to understand how a mirror is a portal. And that's just something that I'm researching on my own, just trying to grasp that concept, because I feel like that's, again, you can't prove anything. It's still, everything is a theory at this point. Nobody even knows if mirrors can be portals or vice versa. So I just wanted to get your guys' opinion. Do you think every mirror is a portal? Do you think it's not possible that a mirror is a portal? Where do you guys stand on it, and how do you think that works? Because I'm still trying to understand it. I know that's a big question, but I just kind of want to get everybody's expertise on that topic.
No such thing as an expert in the field.
I know. That's why I said that.
And I'm not an expert.
Just to piss you off a little bit.
Appreciate that. Because if there's anything that'll go well for you, it's to annoy me.
Yep.
All right, Sam, go ahead, since you always go first.
I would really have to be persuaded to believe that a piece of glass and reflective material automatically gives it properties of being a mirror. I can see why people think that, of looking into it, and it seems like an alternate view of the world you live in. Obviously, everything's reversed. You look into mirrors that are placed across from each other, and they go on forever, and it just it turns into a liminal space, right? So I think that's where that thought process goes, but my brain is just too logical and scientific to look at a mirror and be like, what's different? It's an object. It's an object that reflects light. Okay, so I don't really think I believe in that. I've heard about scrying mirrors and stuff like that, and I can't wrap my head around it. It doesn't make sense to me either. So that's kind of my stance on it, but I would like to learn more about what the prevailing theory is.
Scott, how about you?
Okay.
I love it when you start.
I'm going to break this shit down. That's what Scott said.
I was going to say,
I'm ready.
I love it when you start your answer with "okay," because we're about to get hit with some knowledge here.
No, it's this one I don't know a whole lot about, but it's not just mirrors; it's any reflective surface is thought of as a portal. Water in a bowl can be used, like in a scrying bowl. Um, but I haven't done enough research yet on portals to know why a mirror is understood as a portal. I just know that it is by some people. But it just, when it goes to every reflective surface as a possible portal, I think that's just going overboard. But that's something that so many TV shows and movies use that as their premise of, that you get drawn into a mirror or something in an alternate universe. But I think that's what some people believe, is that it represents an alternate universe, and that somehow we connect to that alternate universe through the reflective surface. But like I said, I still have to research that and find out how it works. I'm still confused about it.
I'm with you. I haven't done a ton of research on the mirrors as well, because to me it's ridiculous. Because you can, as Scott said, you can use any reflective surface. You don't even need a reflective surface. I think this isn't the same amount of the same kind of people who everything is a demon or everything is this and every mirror is not a portal. Can it be? Sure. Like I said, everything can. My laptop monitor could be a portal if I wanted it to. Again, it's the intent put into it. I mean, if you are looking into a mirror and your intent is to see some spirit on the other side of it, you're opening up the door in the mirror. That's you doing it, though. It's not just the fact that the mirror exists, that it turns into a portal. It's not. I would find it very hard to believe that there's, let's just take the Matrix, back room with the hallways with a bunch of doors. I can't imagine that spirits are going to be like, oh, this is a good mirror, I'll just walk through that because it's a portal. And now they're in your house. That doesn't make any flipping sense. And so, I mean, can you turn a mirror into a portal? Yes, I do believe you can. Can you psych the living shit out of yourself by looking into a mirror? I mean, I can't even remember what the name, not a psychomantium. Maybe that is psychomantium. Where you stare into a mirror and you have a candle and you're supposed to freak yourself out. That's still you doing it because that was your intent into doing it. Mirrors or reflective surfaces are not inherently and naturally portals. We have to turn them into it, just like everything else. And people that do it, they're just as bad as the ones that use Ouija boards. And they get what they get and they get what they deserve. So, I mean, just be careful. Can't stress it enough. Stress it every flipping time I talk about Ouija boards. Be careful what you're doing. And know what you're doing. And if you don't, knock that shit off. So, all right, that's my answer.
I don't understand why so many people want to turn so many different things into portals. Why they want to believe that so many different things can be portals. Like not just a mirror or a reflective surface, but some believe that any corner of any room is a portal. Any kind of crossroads like this is a portal. The cross behind me could be a portal because it crosses. It forms a crossroad. why are the portals so important to people that they want to make everything be a possible portal? I don't understand that. So.
I honestly think that I would probably 75% of theories out there that we don't really understand and we don't get probably happened due to some moron getting, to doing it, like the Crossroads or Mir, and then they started shouting it out to the world, and it snowballed on everybody, and now it's some well understood theory, and it's not.
Wow. I think it probably starts out as superstition.
Yeah. But since we're dealing with the paranormal here, and this is something that is coming up now in the last couple of years, and especially now in recent times, is how powerful are our thoughts? Mm-hmm. Can we actually create things out of nothing? We talk about mind over matter. Do we create spirits by believing in them? You have the topa, that you can, the sigil you can write on a wall or whatever, and that will focus people's thoughts and whatever. And it creates a spirit out of nothing. The poltergeist would be a classic classification of that. And so if we were all to believe that all mirrors were portals, I think we would probably create the fact that all mirrors are now portals. But since I hope we're not all that stupid, we won't. So I think we all just need to settle our asses down and be like, a mirror is just a mirror. It's a way to check your shirt in the morning. Make sure all your seams are proper, whatever. Leave it at that. You don't need to believe that a spirit is watching you on the other side. Although if it'll freak some people out, go ahead. I think that'd be kind of cool. I've tried that before. So yeah. Anything else on that? Lauren, what about you? Because you've been doing research. What is your take on it?
Well, so again, the reason I posed the question is because I was still like trying to understand even the concepts behind how an object in itself could become a portal, let alone like a mirror and a reflective surface, which now that you guys said that it's based in superstition, that kind of clicked in my mind. Like, okay, was somebody like way back before we understood what reflections were and saw their reflection like in a puddle or something like that on the ground? Maybe that's how they thought that was another like dimension or something like that. And then it just kind of carried on from there. Quite possible. Who knows? I have no idea. But yeah, I agree with you, Mike, in that it's a lot about the intention. And that's true of a lot of the things that we've said. Like, it's all about intention with literally anything you do, not even related to the paranormal, but anything that you do. If there's negative intention behind it, probably not the greatest thing to like go forward with that. And you're probably going to get something negative out of it. And you have to kind of accept the consequences of your actions at that point. And so, yeah, I am going to continue doing my research, but there's no like solid theories, because it's anybody's guess at this point because we still don't really know. I've never heard that like every corner in a room is a portal. That's a really interesting theory. I don't believe it, but I just think that's really interesting because can you imagine if somebody walked into a room that was like corner here, corner here, corner here, like everywhere, and they were just like, oh my God, there's like 15 portals in this room. I need to get out. Like, I'm just trying to imagine somebody like walking into like a museum or something like that has like all these little rooms that are connected with like a million like corners and they think there's all these portals. Anyway, I'm getting off track. But yeah, I'm going to keep doing my research and I think it's a really interesting topic. But yeah, I do agree that it's all about the intention and yeah.
Do you think spirits use fun houses as like reunion and dance halls?
Yeah, I do.
With
gyms too, like gyms with those mirrors.
With so many portals around and so many mirrors,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah,
But
I think you're right.
thank you. I do enjoy hearing that. So, all right, Scott, do you have a question today?
I guess, but it's a yes or no question. So, no. Yeah, I saw on Facebook a group called Haunted Places or something like that. Somebody asked if how many people at work, at their job, have experienced paranormal activities taking place at their work. So I'm going to put that out to you. If you haven't experienced it at work, how about personal experiences in your home or, in your travels? Whatever. Have you ever had any paranormal experiences of your own or the people around you have them?
I've never personally experienced anything in my home or at work, but I did work with I did have a coworker when I was working at a co-op that was a psychic medium. Um, and she told me some stories about some experiences that she had working closing shifts. We had like kind of a back room that was kind of a storeroom, and she saw like figures and stuff back there all the time. Stuff that nobody else can see, obviously. She just said just people just passing through wouldn't stay for very long because why the fuck would you stay at a grocery store? So yeah, I wish I had more exciting stories than that, but that's kind of all I have.
Yeah, I'm kind of right there with Sam. I feel like I haven't had that many personal experiences outside of like investigations with our team. I know people in my family have at their houses, but that's mostly related to like loved ones kind of thing. So I don't know. It's very odd coincidences, and I tend to see the symbolism in things a little bit more. So I think they're a little bit of something. But after my reading with Sina, apparently I have like kind of learned that my very vivid dreams have a tendency to be like, those are my experiences because that's how easily my spirit guides communicate with me and stuff like that. So I guess you could count that as an experience, maybe. Other than that, I feel like that's kind of reaching a little bit for me. But yeah, I don't have really any experiences at work. I feel like if you work in like a hospital, I feel like there's probably something going on. But again, like we talked about when we were talking about hospitals, there's so much commotion going on. You probably don't even realize what it is.
Yeah. You
just kind of brush it off because you can't be for sure that it wasn't somebody walking around because there's always people there 24/7. So I haven't worked in many very interesting office buildings and stuff like that. So no experiences there. No, unfortunately.
Unfortunately, so you would have liked that?
I mean, it would have prompted me to get into this a little earlier, probably.
It would make my job much more exciting.
True.
Who knows? Maybe if I become a teacher and start teaching in like an old school in the city or whatever, maybe I'll have some experiences in those schools. Becky asked me a question. Do you think they were there because of the location or because of her abilities? I think it's because of her abilities because that particular location had only existed for about 4 years. It was a brand new building. So I think it was because of her abilities that they just kind of stopped through. And she said they would only stay for a few minutes or just for like a shift or something and then leave. She also has some spirits that have followed her around sometimes. So, yeah, definitely think it's because of her abilities.
Well, now I'm not saying that it's not because of her abilities, but your reason for saying that it was their abilities was because it's a brand new building.
Mm-hmm.
Well, who's to say that has anything to do with the building at all? Maybe it's the land. what was there before it was turned into that building. We're destroying a whole hell of a lot of farmland.
That's true.
Out here. So who's to say maybe we didn't tear down a farmhouse that was in a family for 150 years or something like that, and you built the grocery store in this case, right on top of it.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, if you guys want to see it, it's like season 11 or 12 of Unsolved Mysteries has probably one of my favorite stories and reincarnations that I've ever seen. And especially for it being way back in the Unsolved Mysteries, Robert Stack days, terrified the shit out of me. But it's called the Black Hope Curse, I believe. But out in California, they built this development, this beautiful suburban development right on top of a cemetery. And many people in that development started having activity in their homes. And it was because of that. And it wasn't even like a normal cemetery. Like it was, I don't want to say like a pauper cemetery, but it was like where slaves and whatnot would bury their family members and stuff like that, and barely marked graves. And in fact, I think there was one where the only reason you could tell that there was a people buried there at some point was somebody marked an X on the tree. I mean, that's how old this thing was. Well, because they built all these brand new homes on top of the cemetery, they all got their asses haunted because of it.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of bad shit happened, but I mean, that's not part of this thing. So I just mean, for anybody at work who experiences stuff, it might not have anything to do with the building you are actually in.
Mm-hmm.
It could be what was it before, or what was it turned into. I mean, how many times have you looked on a paranormal recreation show or whatever, where this beautiful hotel used to be, a bordello or speakeasy, a mob place. I mean, you always have to make sure you're going back beyond just the building to see if there's some reason for a haunting. Now, because your friend, I think in this case, you're probably right that I'm sure that they were probably there because of her gifts.
Yeah, I would consider it more of a possibility if I didn't have my friend who gave her opinion, which I trust because she has her abilities, So I think she gains those sort of impressions, But it would be interesting. I think I'll shoot her a text and like ask her again, like, did you have any experiences while working at Valley Natural, which is where I was working. So yeah, I'll follow up on that.
Okay, that works. Maybe we can even have some people that have had experiences come on the show. And
that would be really cool. I'm actually going to send her a text right now because maybe she'll respond before the show's over.
Well, she can't come on for a couple weeks. So, as for me, no, to like all of it. I did not have any sort of personal experiences at all before I got involved in the paranormal. I mean, as a kid, you had the whole, psyching yourself out type of thing. I remember a couple times I had a twin bed that was in a corner. So, if I had my back to my room, I was just facing the wall. I can remember a couple times in the middle of the night, swore I would put money on it if I knew what money was at that point in time, that there was like a presence in my room. I could hear breathing, and I would like lay still, like sweating my balls off because of like scared crapless. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to do it. And I flip over, and open my eyes, nothing would be there, obviously. And I wouldn't experience it again. It would just go away. So, I mean, was that something in my house? No. It was just me, imagining it. So But yeah, I've never worked in a place that has ever had experiences. But it's usually been, like terminals and transportation, and spent a lot of time and a lot of years in the truck. So I would really hope that I'm not going to get a visit like in the back of my semi.
Yeah, no,
That'd
that would be.
that'd be a little cramped.
Yeah.
So yeah, but how about you, Scott?
Yeah, I've had a lot of personal experiences throughout my life, but there was one place in particular where I worked. I told you about this once before, Mike, that there were a lot of things going on there. The typical stuff of toilets flushing themselves, doors opening and closing by themselves. It was a treatment center and detox center for alcoholics and drug addicts. But originally, the building, when it was first built, actually there were 4 buildings there. It was originally built as a state psychiatric hospital, and it was used for that for a number of years before it was turned into the treatment center. And the four buildings were used for the treatment center, a housing place, and the detox center. They were all, and one of the buildings had burned down. The other 3 buildings were there when I was working there. And there were underground tunnels leading from one to another building and over next door to the veterans home, which had also originally been part of the psychiatric facility. But we used to see all kinds of things. The patients would tell us that they woke up in the middle of the night and saw somebody leaning over their bed when there was nobody in there. There was one time that I was outside. This is when I was still smoking. I was outside having a cigarette, and I saw somebody leaning out the window on the second floor. And I looked, and I turned and looked, and they were gone. And I thought, the second floor is supposed to be closed off right now. Why was there somebody up there? So I went up to check, and went into that room where they were leaning out the window, and the windows were nailed shut. So there couldn't possibly be anybody there. And it was another time I was sitting at my desk doing paperwork, and I heard that's a loud sigh, and I turned around to see who had come in, and nobody was there. There was a time when we had security cameras all through the building, and the television set up in the office where we could see all of the cameras. And one night was like 11:30 at night. They were doing a crossover where the nurse was going off and the new nurse was coming on, and there's 2 nurses and a technician looked up at the television thing, and the security camera in the storage room. They saw this black mist floating through the room, and it's, well, what the hell is that? So the one nurse and the technician went down to the storage room to check it out. The other nurse stood in the office and watched the camera. And as soon as they opened the door to the room, the thing disappeared. And another person said that when he was in the bathroom, he was washing his hands, and he looked up and he saw this black mist floating behind him in the mirror, and he turned around and there was nothing there. And there were constantly things like that going on throughout that facility, and so it was going on for years. So wow. I wish we could investigate there, but it's still in operation. So
for now,
yeah. So yeah,
we'll
I've
get
had
it.
a lot of experiences. Yeah.
Sweet.
I've received an update from my friend
Okay.
here. I mean, this is very brief, but she just said, seeing spirits walking around, things flying off the shelf, hearing people talk in the back room and no one was back there, stuff like that. Just very casual, just like, the normal stuff.
Just the casual claims. We don't have to worry about that.
That's when a psychic describes their experiences, just like that's the tame shit. I see that all the time.
Yeah, let me know when someone gets possessed, then we'll care.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. My question. It's all right. Going on the assumption that we can investigate anywhere.
Okay.
So, the location doesn't matter. I'm going to wait for Sam to get settled.
Oh, sorry. I forgot you could hear that on the mic.
Yes, we can. Okay. Who would if you could have a conversation, like a legitimate sit down, they're right across from you can see them, you can talk to them, but they're dead, so history and time have no meaning if you believe that energy can travel on. Who in the entire history of the world would you like to have a conversation with?
That's a very, very big question, Mike.
It is. That's why I'm the director, Sam. I come up with the big stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Don't roll your eyes at me, Becky.
Can we say two people?
I suppose number 1 and a number 2.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I have my number 1 and number 2.
Go.
Okay. Nobody else wants to go.
I'm
okay, you guys need a second to think about it.
I'm gonna go last. So
I would want to talk to my grandma because I feel like she would give me like the down low of how everything really is like on the other side. I feel like also I just want to say hi to her. I miss her. But I feel like I'd want to talk to somebody that would be like, okay, this is how it is when you die and this is how everything works. So you could get like all the paranormal research questions out of the way and everything like that. I think that'd be really cool. And then my second person, for my own personal interest, nothing really to do with the paranormal, but just because I admire this person so much, I would love to sit down with Walt Disney. If I could talk to anybody in the world.
Of course.
I know, you guys are going to roll your eyes. But I mean, it for those of you that know me well, I am the biggest Disney nerd you're ever going to come across. And it means a lot to me. And I appreciate, as an entrepreneur, how he just kind of went off. So I admire him. Therefore, I'd like to meet him. But, he's been passed away for quite a few decades now. So that would be my number 2. So number 1 would be grandma for paranormal research and also family and everything like that. And then personal hero wise, I'd love to meet Walt Disney.
I don't know, it's because I'm a history major, but I would be fascinated to have a conversation with like George Washington or like Thomas Jefferson, because their homes are very accessible. You can go to Mount Vernon and visit George Washington's home that he retired in, so maybe his spirit's there, maybe it isn't, but I would love to have a conversation and like get a firsthand account of how things actually happened, because of course everybody thinks the age of the founding fathers and the American Revolution is interesting, but as history is, it's an imperfect representation of what happened based on secondhand accounts and the biases of the actual person taking them down in their diaries and their biographies. So, it would be really cool to talk and like actually have like a dialogue with someone like that. That's what I keep going back to.
Okay. for me, I've taken it that you mean that if we could actually physically sit down with somebody and talk to them.
Well, I mean, technically they would be in spirit form, but you know, you would legitimately just be sitting there having a conversation with somebody.
And in shamanism, a shaman can actually do that. They can actually sit down and speak to somebody with a spirit. And I've done that in my dreams. I've done that in shamanic journeys, where I have talked to people that I wanted to meet. Somebody that I haven't met that I would love to would be like Mahatma Gandhi or Martin Luther King Jr. As they're major heroes of mine. And I've been studying their lives since I was in high school. So those are somebody that I would love to sit down and talk to.
So Sam, I was throwing around names all day long. You know, who would I really want to talk to? The founding fathers came to mind. You know, Benjamin Franklin. You know, George Washington, Jefferson. You know, all those people. You know, I find that whole part of history to be fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and especially if you're a fan of the show Sleepy Hollow. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Mm-mm.
Oh, you should, because it takes a phenomenal, like, supernatural paranormal take on like revolutionary times. I think you would enjoy it, but
Probably would.
right. And but then I was like, well, you know, you know, I'm sure there's people further back in history that would be able to do it. Gandhi also came to mind, you know, as somebody that would be interesting to talk to. Martin Luther King did not, and I agree with you on that one. I think he would be a phenomenal person to do. But this is all like number two for me. Number one, going on not the same reasoning for you, Lauren, but my number one would be my mother. Would definitely, she would be the number one person. But since that's not the fun answer, we'll go with number two. I'm almost thinking that I'd want to go all the way back to like Julius Caesar.
Oh.
Or even one of the original philosophers. You know, Aristotle, Plato. Maybe in one of the Renaissance. You know, Leonardo. You know, people the Ninja Turtles were named after. But out of all of them, I'd probably say Leonardo. He's my favorite turtle as well. But you know, I think that not even going all the way back into the past of human history, not just U.S. history, just to see how they came up with these theories, you know, that they did, how they came up with, you know, I believe it was Plato that did Atlantis. You know, how did that actually turn out? You know, how did that actually come about? I think that would be a phenomenal conversation, as long as they understood what I said.
Yeah, you might need a Latin translator for Caesar.
Well, then since we still have 6 minutes to go, I'll just ask another question, because this also came to mind when I was thinking about what my answer would be. There are a lot of people out there who they go to French castles, or they go to Scottish castles, or whatever. People who, you know, German, who don't speak and have never spoken English, and yet they understand English, and you even get maybe even EVPs that are in English. But there's also EVPs that I've even caught a few where it's native or it is German. So, I mean, is there, once you pass on, is it a universal translator? Can they understand every language? Can they speak every language? Or are they set in what they knew in life?
Language.
Sorry, go ahead, Scott.
Language is a characteristic of our physical life. It doesn't exist in the spirit world. And when they manifest themselves, just like they can manifest themselves as looking in any way they want, they can use whatever language they choose. You know, the language is something of our physical life, not of our spiritual life. It would be more accurate to say that they understand all languages. No, it'd be more like telepathy. No, that they don't need language to communicate. No, we need language to communicate. So in order for them to communicate with us, they have to assume language. No, they can communicate without a specific language. Although there is supposedly a language of the angels, but that's theory. But I don't believe they need language. They can communicate without language. They don't even have vocal cords to speak it. No, that's my take.
I think I like that answer.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what I was thinking too.
I mean, none of us know, obviously.
Very true.
None of us know, but like, I don't know. I think it kind of makes sense that, I mean, if you're going to move on to a different dimension, why do you need to have the ability to speak, you know? But this is all guesswork.
I will say, I think it is really interesting when somebody goes in, like if you are like in a German castle and you go in and maybe like have somebody there that speaks German or something like that, it might help make a connection kind of thing with the spirits, but I don't think it's necessary, but it'll probably increase your chances of maybe like kind of making a connection with them. But yeah, I'd agree with what Scott says. They're kind of a level above us where they don't really need a language. Yeah, it's really interesting though. It's a really interesting concept that they don't even like. Language is such a physical thing, like Scott said. So I like that idea.
Right, and we know that if we really want to rile up the coyotes, we just need to sing in Norwegian.
I will never get over that.
That's so funny.
That was.
I mean, I think I agree with that. I think you're more likely to get a connection if you speak in their native language. I think it's more of just like a recognizing the effort and like familiarity, you know? You know, if I ever had the chance to investigate in Germany, I would definitely study up on a bunch of German and ask questions in German. I definitely would do that, you know? So, yeah.
Yeah. So Becky had a good idea. Nostradamus or whatever. Nostradamus, whatever. The guy who, whatever. The guy that made all of the predictions way back when. I think that would be interesting. I honestly don't think that my message to him would be stop speaking in code, but if that's what you want to do, that's fine. So I guess we're going to end with reminding everyone again next week, Mr. Ken Bogle will be joining us for it and for the show. And I'm hoping that, like I said, I can convince him maybe to do kind of like a coffee with Ken Bogle where he just throws out like a 1 card or whatever. And also Vegas Para Unity for anybody who's we're under 4 months now. So it's getting close, and I want to see you guys all in Vegas. So get your tickets.
Speaking of bands, my band is going to perform at the VIP dinner. So that alone that's the cost of admission for the VIP dinner. You get to see a world-class amateur rock show.
Yes. Fix the Glitch is it will be performing at the VIP dinner.
And a super talented cover band.
I hope so. I've never heard them.
From the videos, they were pretty.
Yeah, they were good.
Freaking talented.
They were good, and for what they're charging, they effing better be. So, just say that. So yeah, VegasParaUnity.com, and I realized not today, but the other day when we did the event poster that had everybody on it, I have 47 celebs coming. That's a lot.
That is a
Yeah.
lot.
That's a lot. So
It's gonna be a big one.
If you want to see the field,
The entirety of the paranormal field.
Field, you guys should get your tickets. So, all right. Well, that's going to do it for this week. We'll see you next week. Stay safe, stay healthy. We want to see you back here next week.